What's the topic of conversation for today?
Okay, today I am interviewing Shiva.
It's an interview.
Yes.
Oh wow, I'm honored. Sweet.
The reason why is because it is rare for me to see a man who embodies the human qualities that I love and feel safe with. You really inspire me.
Yes.
In the archetype of the mature masculine, right? And it's actually in the small details. And since knowing you, then I've caught onto the small pieces that make me feel like, oh wow, this is so special. This is so special. And I find it so simple actually. And I feel like there is this run for how to be a better man, how to be a better woman, how can I, all of these things that feel so much pressure. Men feel so much pressure to be better men for women. Yeah, there is this pressure that I feel that men have on how to become better men for women, and women have a lot of pressure on how to become better women for men. But I find that it's actually so simple. And stepping out of the craziness of life, and then coming back to actually the small details. So what I would love to ask you today is, what do you think? Well, tell me a little bit about your story. Like, why do you live your life the way you do? What is specifically around relating, let's say, what is important to you when you are relating with any woman, like not even a specific romantic partnership? What is that for you?
The intention is, within the tantric context, within the tantric relating or tantric coupling, the intention is to create a sacred divine union. It means that every time I'm in the presence of a woman, the way to frame it, or the possibility, is to see it as a meditation, to see it as an invocation, to see it as a divine prayer. It means that right now I'm in the presence of this woman, she's a goddess, I'm a god, divine energy, and so if we activate that energy, that's what we're going to create. And so that's the way I look at it. I look at and constantly trying to see the places where there is a block, where there is potential shadows in the field, where we are holding back the potential, or there is stories accumulated from the past, or things like that. So this is the way I look at it. It's like constantly trying to see how we can optimize, how we can go deep, how we can go deeper into different layers of intimacy, energetic or loving or erotic. Where is the pathway, and where is the resonance being created there? That's the whole idea.
What are like some key things that you discovered along your path in these years, in the 2020 something, where we have, mobile phones and text messages, and, we live a different kind of life today from the tantric ancient entities.
Ancient times,
Yeah, like it's different times now. How can we integrate being present as a man in a relationship in the world today? And maybe you can talk a little bit about what are some key mistakes that, for now we'll talk about men, but maybe we'll go into women as well. But what are some of the key mistakes that men make that break that ground of trust for a woman?
Well, the number one is being out of integrity, lying, saying that they want to be in a committed relationship, but then open the relationship, have multiple partners or so on when it's not part of the agreement. Lack of clarity, lack of consistency in the way they show up, not being emotionally grounded enough. It's like, for instance, if I'm very reactive to what you might be doing and then enter into reactive mode, I get angry, I get pissed, or I get triggered by some of the behaviors. That's going to create a field of lack of safety. So I feel that those are some of the core mistakes. It's not being able to generate a field of safety that is strong enough and grounded enough. Another key, we can call that mistake, but it's really a human thing. It is that when I'm exposed to aspects of a woman, which might be labeled as immature, is to start judging, confronting, wanting to change that woman's behavior, when in fact, I feel like the long-term solution for everybody is to be able to embrace each other's imperfections. And so that's something that over the last few years, this has been my constant place of evolution. It's like I look at a woman and then I go like, I can see that there is a shadow there, I can see that there is an imperfection, something that is not perfect, but then I decide to find a way of loving that part and expand my capacity to embrace that part of this woman. For instance, if, like some years ago, the big challenge for me was seeing a woman sad, right? It's like, you're sad, I need to fix that. I need to do something about it. I need to change. I made a mistake or something. I feel guilty or I feel ashamed or something is going on. Whereas now when I see a woman who might be sad, then I go like, oh, you're sad. Oh, wow. It's curious. It's like, oh, that's interesting. That's something, there is sweetness to it. There is like grace to it. There is an emotional release, right? And then there is tears. And I go like, wow, these are beautiful tears, right? So it's like my loving capacity expands to embracing the sadness rather than rejecting it, rather than pushing it away. So this one, if you ask me, like the number one thing that men can do is learn how to embrace more and more of the feminine of the things that feel a little bit challenging. So this means expanding our energetic emotional capacity, being fluid with that, rather than being like, okay, this is how a woman is supposed to be behaving, and then we are really rigid about that. So having much more emotional, energetic fluidity. Like right now, the women who are in my life, friends and partners, when I have one, they are changing plans all the time, right? Plans are getting changed all the time. It's like I might have 1 or 2 meetings or appointments or things like that. It's including sometimes with clients, but this is just in social situations. And the plans are constantly changing. So if I was like, okay, we were supposed to meet at 3 o'clock and it's 5 o'clock and things have changed, it's like if I get triggered by that, I'm fucked. I'm like, I'm going to be suffering a lot. So my capacity as a man is to dive into that and be like, oh yeah, be fluid. Oh yeah, you cannot meet me now. Yeah, later is fine. It's fine. I change my plans. It is good. So I have fluidity, right? I have my in a way, my feminine energy is also activated, and then I can meet you there. So those are some of the of the core aspects that I think if men were upgrading, I would say like emotional fluidity, super high, expand the emotional potential, be able to, when you're exposed to shadows of the feminine, be able to circulate that energy and have the emotional capacity to be exposed to those different flavors of the feminine that might not be labeled as mature or the best. A woman might be triggered. How we respond to those challenges, this is the thing that is going to make it either a good relationship or a really challenging relationship.
Can you break that down to what that looks like? Okay, so apart from, so I'm having an emotional reaction and you're coming to me, how can you show me your emotional intelligence and safety through what give me some tools.
Yeah, the tools. One of them is deeper listening. For instance, the deeper listening means that, for instance, you might have a strong emotion, right? Let's shift now. Instead of being a vulnerable emotion, it's going to be anger or rage or triggered by something.
Right.
So instead of being, oh my God, you're crazy, what's going on? I don't have time for this. Being much more like navigating it with curiosity. So, you're really angry with me today. Oh, yeah, exactly, right? What's going on? Why is this happening right now? What's underneath? And so navigating it with curiosity, that's the first thing. So I ask questions, not necessarily. Then I say, oh yeah, yesterday, if it's a situation where, for instance, if we were lovers, right? And then you go like, yeah, yesterday you didn't show up for me, or something, you are complaining about something, instead of feeling defensive and feeling reactive and being like, no, that's not true, it's your fault, and blame shifting and all that stuff, instead of entering into an escalation of the confrontation, being like receiving the feedback and feeling the reflection. So what this means is that my emotional capacity is an emotional capacity to take some form of criticism or emotional intensity. Sometimes there is going to be rage, anger, that can be completely irrational. But if I don't have the capacity to take that at all, then most of the times it's going to escalate, because my partner is not going to feel loved, right? She's not going to feel seen, and all she wants is to feel heard. She says, I've got an emotion inside of me and I want to share that emotion. I want to bring it to the surface, and I would love for you to hold space for that. So sometimes it's really important for me to set up boundaries, right? If I need to work, I don't have the capacity, it's okay to say, listen, I want to hear what you have to say, but right now is not a good time. That's possible, right? This is very human, and it's very useful and very powerful. It's a mature way of handling it. But another way is like, curiosity, and tell me more, what's really going on underneath, right?
I love this piece. It's like the deeper listening is, for me, like I already feel safe knowing that I'm gonna share something with you, and not only are you gonna listen, but your reaction will actually be into my experience. So
yes,
tell me more about that. How do you know, like asking questions that I feel like you are interested to go deeper into understanding the whole story. Maybe my first share is surface level, and you're like maybe a little bit confused with my emotions and my sharing,
exactly.
And you're like, okay, I hear you, and you know, what's more, what else, tell me more, you know.
Exactly.
This is already like, I can already feel the pleasure of love that I open up my heart to when I know that this conversation is not about me sharing and you listening, but actually you want to know more. You know, you want to go deeper into what is going on inside of me. Safety.
So the key question, if you guys out there are listening to that, but it works also, of course, when it's reversed, right? The simple thing is, tell me more. What else is there? Tell me more. What else is there? And so that's a very simple question to ask, and then be more specific with the question. Also, what I hear you say is that, you know, we repeat what the person said, what the woman said, and then did I hear you right? Did I hear you correctly? So what you are saying is like, I misbehaved, and therefore you are angry with me because I made that behavior, right? Or I did something that was offensive to you. How would you rather me behave in the future? You know, be curious about it. So it's navigating it with curiosity. What I want to say is that for me, when a woman opens up, it's like a whole universe. It's like, so I have a natural curiosity or desire to understand a woman's psyche and a woman's world and what's going on there. And one of the things that I practice is seeing beauty in absolutely everything that is going to emerge to the surface. So exactly in the same way as you are going to look at, at a movie and or a song, you know, there might be a breakup song, for instance, or something that is a dramatic experience. Then you listen to it, and we're on the dance floor, like really dancing to the rhythm of this music. So we actually transmute. You know, we transmute we transmute a contraction and turn that into beauty, into art. And so what I tend to do is this: it is that when I see something happening in a woman, I'm fascinated by the beauty of that, without labeling it. You are not crazy. It's not right or wrong. It's just like it's a painting. It's like, and so there is connections, and then realizing and discovering that that specific trigger is related with something that happened with an ex-boyfriend, and that's a pattern that has been there. So understanding the psychology of it is really magical and beautiful. And what I want to say is that what guides me behind that is constantly the tantric spirit, the singing mantras and activating that, because I look at us as human beings as divine incarnations. So it's much more than the 3 or 4 dimensions of time and space. It's like it's a divine experience. Feels good, right?
It does.
You want to be heard.
I do.
Yeah, okay. So guys, if you are dating this woman,
deeper listening.
If you are a partner in the future, this is what she needs.
Thank you. Okay. This is my advertising.
And I will be testing you guys if you want to come into this woman's field.
I will be sending you to Shiva for assessment.
For brotherhood training.
Initiation.
dark masculine training, you know. Or no, but it's really valid, and I think it's really important to get those things right.
So deeper listening, one tool.
Yes.
Is there another one?
Compassion and understanding. Like another thing, another mindset that I use is you're not perfect. You're human, right? So when I see imperfections coming to the surface, instead of feeling like I'm responsible for fixing that or changing it, I go like, no, you are exactly the way you are. So having an acceptance of the humanness, the human nature, that's another mindset that works really well. And when there is potential shadows to be navigated, I think that I've got probably maybe 10 specific tools, right, that are going to be mature, and 10 that are going to be mature. An immature response would be victimizing, here fucking the same thing again, this keeps happening and we're not making progress, and victimizing and feeling sorry. Another one would be deflecting, hey, would you like some ice cream? Shift the mood, or do some energetic or emotional release together, dive deeper into the conversation. Sometimes the way to solve a trigger, or to solve a conflict, or to solve a situation where there is dissonance, is to actually escalate the conflict.
Right.
Oh, you want to fight? Okay, let's have a good fight. And shout at me, do whatever you have to say, and then you give me permission to do the same. And so we can escalate, and this can be a bonding experience.
Right.
I call that a fight-gasm, And sometimes it's fun if we both have the capacity to navigate it.
Right.
But you need to have strong boundaries and clarity around that.
Yeah.
So it's an art form,
It is.
This is the thing to understand. It's not just 1-2 techniques and you apply that like a linear thing.
Yeah.
It's like we need to discover and play with the different chords.
And I feel like a lot of this can be transmitted on a daily basis, on a momentarily basis.
Yes.
If I think about some of the traits that you have that really touched me. So we spoke about this, but the first thing that comes to my mind is you're responding to text messages. Like, it's such a stupid thing.
No, it's important.
But it's actually, you respond so fast to me. And even if I ask a question that you need time to think, you will immediately respond, I'm tuning in. Like, I've received your question, your request, your whatever, and I will get back to you. Yeah. And even when you don't get back to me because you're doing whatever you're doing, but I feel safe.
That's beautiful.
There is not a game that I feel like we are playing. Do you know what I mean? And that can be really, it's a practice for all our dynamics. Actually, absolutely. It's like, what are we doing by keeping someone waiting? Like, not like you said, not responding is a response.
Yes, exactly.
And I really love that. And another
thing. How does it make you feel when a man responds directly?
It makes me feel so open, so fast.
Yes, exactly.
It makes me feel safe. It makes me feel trust.
Yes.
It makes me feel important.
Yes, exactly.
It makes me feel chosen. I can go on.
Exactly.
One text message.
Yes, exactly.
I'm online, you're online. Okay, immediate response. Like,
yeah.
We're in this time where suddenly in 2020, whatever.
Yes.
There is delayed reaction, and I'm in a process, and I'll take 5 days to answer you, or or I want to play a game. I don't want to seem too interested or whatever.
Yeah, those are games.
There's like so many reasons why people don't respond. But when I feel, and this goes for my girlfriends, for my boyfriends, for my all friends.
Yeah.
If I'm responding and you're responding immediately back, it's like I feel seen. I feel heard. I feel important. I feel like I am a part.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. And this quality is called responsiveness, basically.
Right.
That's being responsive, and it's one of the qualities to really create a deep bond with people, with our tribe, whether you are lovers or partners. It's like is being responsive means I really care. Yeah. And I don't want to keep you hanging.
Exactly. That feels so good.
It's a simple thing, right?
And another thing that I love about you is that you constantly reflect how you're feeling, or how the things that you love about our experience. So I really love the way that you show up today? Like, you are constantly complimenting or bringing your true voice to how was, our time together.
Yeah.
And
it's
I think
beautiful.
not enough people showed that. Like, sometimes we leave each other wondering, I wonder how am I to you? Do you like me?
Yeah.
What parts of me do you like? It's not like, oh, you're so beautiful and no. But it's like, actually, I really love, and then going into the deeper aspects,
Exactly.
it makes me feel like I have been seen in different parts of me.
Yes, exactly.
In my vulnerability, in my pain, in my whatever it is. But that appreciation of those parts
Exactly.
is like, wow.
Exactly.
That makes me feel safe again and seen.
Yes, exactly. That quality is the appreciation, right? The validation or the gratitude.
Right.
Is like, that's something that if you are coupling with somebody and you have a beautiful woman in your life, appreciate, and we go like, oh, well, I already told you I love you like 3 days ago, I don't have to say it again.
Right.
But that's not true at all. This is a big misunderstanding. It's like, my experience is that I can appreciate a woman over and over again, and the more I do it, without this being needy or invasive, but basically subtle signs of appreciation, gratitude, and so on. It's something that has such an alchemical power in creating connection with somebody, and I love being appreciated as well. So most of the times, what's going to happen in relationships is one person is going to feel triggered by something, and then we're going to criticize and point out to the things that are not working, right? We're going to make a big deal, and when everything is going fine, we're not going to actually open to the appreciation. So this is something that works both ways. I love being appreciated as well. I love when somebody comes over here and says, wow, I love your temple, I love what you're doing, you're such an amazing man, and so on. Just the fact that you asked me to to film something with you is a sign of appreciation. It's something that we can give each other's gifts. A word that started emerging a lot is this idea of glimmering each other. Offering glimmers. Glimmers is the opposite of a trigger. It's like you come in my field over here. You come for a visit. We have a little juice or something. It's like, how can I make your day? What is it that I can do to make you happier today?
Right. And this is a really, really beautiful piece that you're talking into, because it's been very alive in my field. It's like, how can we make this situation greater? How can my presence in your life help you feel greater than what you already do? And of course, everything is coming both ways. We need that cycle to complete, but it's like, wow, yeah, I would like you to leave this house greater than you did when you walked in.
Yes, exactly.
And it could be because you offered me a delicious fruit that I love, or it could be a compliment that you made. So my last question would be, is there any other tips of how to navigate these daily moments of creating bonding? Like we said, texting and complimenting, and like, what are other simple things that we can do to create this home base for one another, this safety?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So when you say home base, you're talking about the base or foundation, right? And so I feel like one of the things that we tend to bypass, and that sometimes we don't take enough time to establish it, is, especially if you're coupling with somebody, right? We have a friend, we are friends, right? We are not lovers, but for instance, we are moving into becoming lovers, right? The way we would engage is like establishing really a very strong clarity about what are the agreements and what is the foundation, what is the design of the relationship. So very often we enter into lover experiences, and then we are going to enter in it, and the agreements are not actually clear. The requests and the needs and the demands or the intentions are not clear. For instance, if I have a new partner and that person needs a lot of space, and I want to be in her field all the time, right? So there is going to be a dissonance. So we didn't talk about that. And then we might be having a conversation, and all she wants is to go back to work or do other things or meet other people, right? And so there is a dissonance that is appearing. And the reason why the dissonance is appearing is because the agreements are not clear.
Right.
So what you want in the agreements is a few things. The first one is to have the intentions that are clear, then have the agreements, and the agreements might be yeah, we are in an open relationship or not. It's okay to share some intimacy. It's okay to dance. Is it okay to have friends of the opposite gender? You know, things like that. Another one is to come up with the requests, right? It's like, what are your requests? What are your non-negotiables? So once the foundation has been set, and this is in the original stages of the relationship, then we have to be in integrity. I want to be in integrity with what I promised, or the agreements. Right. Then we don't touch the agreements anymore. Then it's established. It's like, for instance, if we know that we're going to see each other a few times a week, for instance, or if we live together, then that's the agreement for a month, and then eventually we redesign that. Right. So my belief is this: it is that many of the fights that are rising to the surface is because those agreements are not clear.
Right.
And then there is another core element in that, is that the boundaries, right? So there is something that you can call micro boundaries and macro boundaries. Macro boundaries is the general boundaries, the general ones. It's like, is it okay to have sex with other people or not? Is it okay for my lover, my partner, my girlfriend to go and be naked with another man, for instance, right? Yes or no? Is it okay to have genital touch, or, you know? So all of those are within the range of kind of semi-open relationship, right?
Right.
But the clear, there are very general distinctions that we want to establish. And once those distinctions have been established, for instance, over here in the wood, we do a lot of contact dance, right? So there is going to be sensual touch with other people. It's like, is that okay or not?
Right.
And then once it's okay, it's not like it's okay with that person but not with that one. Oh, but this one is your ex, so I don't feel comfortable. So if we start negotiating on micro boundaries, it becomes really complicated. Right. So what I decide is this: it is like, is it okay to have sensual exchange with another human being? Yes, my girlfriend can do that. I give permission and she gives me permission, and we are done. That's it. That's the end of the conversation.
Right.
See, if one day I have a trigger response or a jealousy trigger response, which happens, of course, you know, going to come to the surface, I fucking deal with it. It's like, that's my trigger, it's within the boundaries, I'm not going to bring it up. Or it might be, you know, there is something there in the boundaries that I no longer really agree, it feels too uncomfortable. If it's sustained in the field for a while, then we are going to talk about it and have a rearrangement of the boundaries. But this is really, I encourage you to establish that and think about that. Establish just your general lines, and then freedom within that space, within that. Because otherwise we are processing all the time.
Right.
The jealousy triggers is like, anytime I have a jealousy trigger, if I bring that to the relationship, it's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be unbearable. So we want to create spaciousness and freedom within that, so that we can navigate within those general lines. It's a little bit like the difference between if you have a dog and you have a big park and a big garden and you let the dog running around, and then there is this general fence, right? But if you keep the dog on the leash, it's going to want to run away. It's going. So we don't want to keep each other on the leash. We don't want to be micromanaging each other. It's like, I set you free, I trust you, and I decide to trust you. And then if at some point I feel like there is a lack of integrity, and there is a break of trust, then we're going to bring it up. So those are, it's an art form to establish it, but I feel like for me that this has been a relationship saver.
Right.
Macro boundaries, set up the general lines. Is it okay to have physical touch? Like, for instance, if I have a girlfriend and she's touching the knee of one of my friends, or she gives him a hug which is really long, yes, that's okay. That's within the agreement. She's not breaking the law. Yeah. Now, if I go and start kissing a woman, fluid exchange, touching her genitals or her breasts while we are in a relationship, then in that case it's going to be breaking the agreement and a betrayal of those boundaries. So I'm really passionate about that, because I can see the potential if we set it up without having to dive into the micro boundaries and the micro agreements and micromanaging each other, then it simplifies everything. Look, I want to set you free. Just do your thing. These are the general lines. Can we respect each other? Do we agree with that? That's it, done. And then we don't have to navigate the intensity of those micro triggers that might be coming to the surface.
I wonder, last question.
No, it's good. I'm really enjoying this.
What is important for you in a woman?
What's important for me in a woman?
Yeah. Like if we're just going to flip it around for a moment.
Yeah.
And I ask you, what is it that a man wants from a woman? Like top 3.
Top 3. The things that touch me the most: Shakti energy, feminine energy, elegance, beauty, presence, flow. A woman who is smiling a lot, happy a lot. Who is just like generally like comes into my field and brings flowers of joy and beauty, and so that's the light feminine,
right.
Shakti. That's one thing. Another one is freedom. The openness. A woman who has been, who can navigate her own sexual fire and energy, and who has been dealing with the shadows of all of that, the shame, the guilt, that feels like I enter into a field and it's a field of permission, a field of liberation. This doesn't mean that we don't have boundaries and limits, but it means that, basically my field can really expand and relax without feeling contracted or restricted. That's another one. Another one is really the sapiosexual thing, like really the intelligence and the connection and having deep, profound conversations and diving deep into the explorations of dynamics and all that. This is something that is really, really, really fun. And there is 20 more.
I know.
And many more.
Yeah.
Maybe another one that I think is important is also the mystical or the spiritual dimension. When a woman comes into my field, it's a non-negotiable. We start singing mantras, and we we start activating the tantric spirit. So for me, that degree of openness, so that we really can activate the mystical dimension together. And this is more like a dance, you know. But there is so much more. There is I've got a list of 100 things that a woman can do to make a man really happy, and the same the other way around. And it's all a work in progress, right? Yeah. It's all an exploration. Yeah. I like these questions. Thanks a lot. I should have a question for you now.
Go on then.
Okay, one question.
Yeah.
What do you feel is the gift that women can offer to men? Oof. That one core quality that you notice really opens a man's heart.
Acceptance of all the shadows and all the shades of the human experience. It's like I find that if we go back to feeling the safety, the home accepts it all, right?
Yes.
So when my field is so open and unjudgmental, and I allow you to be anything you want to be in this moment, and that could be your bright, inspiring, wise, present, masculine sides, or it could be, your other sides, which is more childish, more dark, more insecure, more, you have permission.
Oh my God.
To be. How does that feel?
That's straight away. I feel like my whole nervous system just relaxes by hearing that.
Well, exactly. But I feel like there's also a fear in men. I think maybe there's some men that feel that, and there is this fear of being at home, because maybe they're so used to not having that, and so they run away. In my experience, I felt that a lot with men. It's too, this safety was scary. So I wonder, as a man, can that feel scary sometimes?
I don't think it's scary.
No.
I don't think this is. I don't think that you creating a field of safety is scary. I think that what can be potentially scary is the fact that it becomes predictable, or the stagnation behind that, or the fact that fire starts missing, or something like that. I think that any man that you come into their field and you say, wow, that you accept who they are without trying to judge them or modify them, most men are going to be really a yes to that. They are going to be. So I have the feeling that once this is created, and then the homey feeling, then what men can run away from is a degree of intimacy that can go too deep or too profound, or too where they lose touch with themselves, for instance. So that's my belief is that when a man pulls back, is because he wants to retreat, go back to his own sovereignty. He's entering into a space where he's like, okay, now the ground is I'm no longer in control, so I have to gain back control. So stepping back. But the quality that you're describing, you know, of being able to honor a man's, it's the same as what you're reflecting, exactly what I was saying earlier, to honor a man's shadows and not be judgmental, not trying to modify. This is a massive thing, because for men, one of the biggest challenges that they will face in relationships is to enter into a relationship and end up being very domesticated, right? So they end up being micromanaged, micro-controlled, and the woman is really in charge of the house and the home and controlling, and that's, you know, it's emasculating for men. It's going to be something that robs us from our independence, power, and freedom. So when a woman comes into our field and she says, I want you to be free, fully expressed, and oh yeah, well, you're not perfect, but who cares, you know?
How do you feel?
I'm feeling great. I love this conversation. It feels very much alive. It's sweet. Another Tantric hour here, visiting before she goes back to Copenhagen.
Oh my God, I need to go.
Yes, exactly. So you have a date?
Yes, I have a date.
Tell us about your date. What are you excited about? If you're having a date with this woman, just go and enjoy it, okay? I think you're going to have the time of your life. She's got a lot to offer. And don't fuck it up. Otherwise she's going to come to me and she's going to complain, and I'm going to come to you.
With what?
And kick your
with
ass.
The Shiva sword.
Yeah, with the Shiva Trishula.
Thank you.
Yeah, and guys, you're amazing. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. We love contributing, and I'm over here online, Vital Coaching, and Shiva Rajaya.
And I'm Natalie's Queendom, like Kingdom, but for queens.
It's a really good brand, I love it. Natalie's Queendom. Welcome to Natalie's Queendom.
We love you. Until next time.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Okay.